Hi everybody, and welcome to SAD 356 for this week. I was going to go ahead and just do a few updates to make sure we're all on the same page. I know that all of you are probably working or have already completed your teachingchannel.org assignment and are ready to start on Thursday's assignment. Thursday's assignment, we'll be watching this video and doing some work on your live binder. So I'm going to talk a little bit about assignments that are coming up just to make sure that we're on the same page with what you're doing. So I'm going to click over to assignments really quick, hopefully really quick, and remind you that you are working on your UDL lesson plan revision. I've included the websites for some of the resources that I'm recommending that you include for active engagement in your lesson plan, and those include Glogster and EduCreations, which Glogster can be a web-based or it can be an app, and EduCreations is an app. Using live binders for older students is a fantastic app, is a fantastic website, and Sock Puppets is a fantastic app. So I hope you're taking advantage of those that I've shared and including some of your own. Don't forget to include your scoring guide. You can either attach it to the beginning or end of your lesson plan or attach it separately, but you need to self-score that for full points on your assignment. And you'll want to check out that UDL study guide that we went over in class that I've attached here that should help with your revisions. Make sure that you also include the website or the reference for where your lesson plan came from. So if it's one you created for another class, just list the name of the class and the fact that you were the original creator of the original lesson plan. The other lesson plan that's coming up soon that we'll be working on is the direct instruction, and I think I just went past it, the DI lesson plan, and we've talked about that in class. You'll need to use the KTIP lesson plan format. I've attached it here, and we'll just be doing the first part of that lesson plan. And keep in mind when you're working on your direct instruction lesson, the recommendations I made in class, that you keep that lesson very simple, that you only do a very simple concept, so don't try and do the water cycle, but instead do evaporation, or just do the SH sound, or just do 2 plus 4 equals 6, or 2 times 4 equals 6. Don't do a complex topic because that's harder when you're first starting with direct instruction. Don't forget that there's a DI cheat sheet that I'd recommend that you use, and that is in the content section. Hopefully that will help you as you start working on your lesson plan. So those are the things that are coming up soon. Don't forget that if you're one of those people that has a best practices coming up, that you're ready to go with that when we have our next class. All right, so I'm going to do something I don't always do, and that is talk a little bit about the PowerPoint that's in the content this week. And I'm talking about that for several reasons. One, reading instruction is crucial to the success of all students, and we know that. But because we know several things about reading based on research, we know that if a student hasn't received intervention and isn't proficient by the time that they exit elementary school, then their chances of catching up are just slim to none. And we know that students that have disabilities are particularly at risk and need extensive, intensive phonics instruction. I know that we've talked about in class, and I'll just reiterate in this video, the best type of instruction for students with disabilities is systematic, explicit instruction, which is direct instruction. So we know that students need systematic instruction not just on saying the sounds, but also on blending sounds, and they must have instruction across all 5 of the essential components of reading. Explicit instruction includes clearly defining the outcomes. So that is that learning target, that I can statement. I can read and identify SH sounds in words. We want to make sure that we are appropriately modeling and demonstrating, giving kids an opportunity for guided practice with us, listening and providing really quick, clear feedback. Yes, that is a correct example of an SH sound, or the correct way to say that sound is shh. So providing feedback for correct and incorrect answers, and always making sure that we're recognizing student effort. We also know that within our setup of instruction that we need to be using that response to intervention, that 3-tier system, with all students engaged in Tier 1 90 minutes of core reading instruction in elementary school. So that Tier 1 is that the school is using a research-based curriculum. We need to make sure it is research-based. Whether a teacher is creating it or using something that the school has purchased, it has to be research-based instruction. And that students that are struggling in that tier have additional instruction, not less instruction in Tier 1, but everyone receives Tier 1, and then students who are below the expectations of their grade are receiving additional instruction based on their specific area of need. In Tier 3, so a lot of students within special education would fall within Tier 3, that students receive that additional instruction on top of their reading program. Using that alternate program in a separate pullout for all instruction is not recommended. It's recommended that students be in the gen ed classroom for their initial instruction and then have pull-out instruction for that intervention. The interventions must be research-based. We do not want kids to have an alternate curriculum where they fall behind. We know that students, if they have that alternate curriculum, often end up not receiving the core instruction that they need to make adequate progress. Alrighty, the National Reading Panel identified 5 essential skills, and I'm going to quickly go over those. I know early on in our class I talked a little bit about some when we were talking about lesson plans. Phonemic awareness, know that that is just sound awareness, where phonics instruction involves looking at words on text and how the words sound. We know that reading fluency is critical to student success. It's that first step in reading comprehension usually comes through fluency. We know that kids have to have a clear understanding of vocabulary in order to be able to comprehend text. There are several fantastic resources, and I'm going to flip. You'll notice that these are all the University of Oregon. So I'm going to flip to the web really quick and point out to you that the University of Oregon resources are fantastic. They provide key research-based information on the big ideas in beginning reading. So make sure that you take some time to explore through this website. We'll be talking about it in class, and we'll be discussing it in a future discussion board. So you really want to make sure you understand what this model looks like and the key information that they provide. They've got fantastic tips for beginning reading for alphabetic principles. They also include some fantastic videos and talk about curriculum mapping. A great resource to check out. Especially when we're looking at alphabetic principle, this first sound identification video is fantastic. I love that it walks so explicitly through kindergarten, first and second grade, so please take some time to check out the information found there. Other key resources that are further down in this PowerPoint, Reading Rockets is one of my all-time favorite sites. It's fantastic to share with parents. It's great for us as teachers in special education and for teachers in general education. This phonemic awareness video is fantastic, and it really helps parents understand what phonemic awareness is. Finally, one of the other fantastic resources that I love, University of Oregon and Florida State have put together some fantastic packages. I would say that Florida State's is one of the deepest, richest sets of information, so I'd highly recommend you take some time. This website is super rich and deep. It would take you weeks and days to go through it all. But please take some time to check out the Empowering Teachers section and really go through some of the resources that are there, as well as the Student Center activities. There are just hundreds and hundreds and thousands of great resources that you could use in teaching reading instruction. When you're looking at your DI lesson plan, there are great worksheets and activities here. So these two tabs, the Student Center activities and the Empowering Teachers tabs, just have great resources that you can use forever and ever. Back to the PowerPoint. Okay, you want to make sure that you really are clear on this fact that phonemic awareness is talking about phonemes, which are talking about those smallest units of sound. When we're teaching phonemic awareness, we are not looking at anything in writing. We are strictly dealing with how words sound. And we play a lot of sound games naturally with students, and we don't realize that what we're doing is phonemic awareness. So, for example, a game that I play with Elizabeth, my first grader, we play games where I'll say, I'm going to say the word cat. If I take off the k and add an what word do I have? And she says mat. So anything we do where we're helping kids identify, isolate sounds, and exchange sounds are great phonemic awareness activities, and these are activities that students with disabilities often struggle. Know that phonemic awareness is not phonics. Phonics is a different skill. It's sometimes taught at the same time, but just know that they're two different skills. So I could talk about the sound, we can manipulate the sound SH, but as soon as I put an SH word up on the board, like sheep or ship, then I've moved into the arena of phonics. Both are very important areas of instruction. Just know that they're different. When we're talking about phonics, this is a critical skill that lots of students struggle, and one of the key interventions that are used to help students is explicit instruction called Orton-Gillingham. It's a lot of times marketed for students that have been diagnosed with dyslexia, but it's fantastic for all readers who are struggling. When we're talking about phonics, I'd like you to continue going through this PowerPoint and really note the types of phonics that are explicitly taught to students. And know that once students know how to blend words, that there's a next step beyond that. We need them to be able to blend words to decode. We need them to be able to break words down to be able to spell them and write them successfully. So that ability to blend and understand the relationships of letters and sounds are crucial and need to, again, be explicitly taught to students. Alrighty. Within the whole world of sounds, there are identified between 41 and 44 individual sounds in the spoken English, depending on whose curriculum you're looking at. And we want to make sure that students have that literacy-rich environment. Not all students have them at home, but we can provide that in school. Students have to have that background in order to be successful readers. And when we're talking about phonological awareness, here's just a few examples of some activities you can do with students. I identify the ones that I play with Elizabeth. This rhyme recognition, which word rhymes with dog, cup, sit, or log. We want to talk about that. Or which word is not like the others, fan, cat, mat, hat. The kids should identify fan. So helping kids understand the difference of sounds that come at the beginning, at the end of words. Those are all games, and that's all phonemic awareness until we write the words down, and then that becomes phonics. Alrighty, some other great activities we can do to help kids build phonological awareness include being able to break down sentences, syllables, to segment, to be able to delete and replace segments. Are super important. Isolating sounds where they are in the word beginning, middle, and end are crucial. And all of those resources that I gave you, University of Oregon, University of Florida, can help you get where you need to get with being able to provide initial instruction. Alrighty, there are some fantastic benchmarks, and I know that you talked about that with Dr. Christensen. We've done a little bit of that in our class. We'll continue to talk about the importance of benchmarking all students and providing content-rich, research-based instruction that happens weekly, as well as progress monitoring to make sure students are making progress. When we're talking about phonemic awareness and how we know students are struggling, we know that students are struggling when they're not able to understand and identify the difference between similar and dissimilar sounds. They're not able to break words into their separate sounds or blend them back together. They can't isolate sounds, and they can't replace sounds. So if I said I have the word man, take off the M and add a P, they should say pan. So if they say nan, then I know that they struggle with blending sounds into words. We know that DIBELS is one of the key resources that we use to help students master and master sounds. DIBELS is used as a progress monitoring tool and can also be used somewhat for instruction. And when we're looking at phonemic awareness tasks, this slide gives us a nice list of all the things we want kids to be able to do, the information that was in those prior 10 slides. If you go through this PowerPoint and have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to clarify anything that wasn't clear from my instruction or from the PowerPoint. And the same goes for the PowerPoints that are coming up, the ones on fluency, comprehension, writing, spelling. We want to make sure that we've got these skills solidly down because this is the core of a lot of our instruction in special education. I hope you're having a great week of learning. If you've got any questions, please let me know. I'll have instructions for you in the announcements that I'm sure you've already read on your assignment for Thursday.